we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
In my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on their necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Abercrombie.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on their necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hate hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got...
This is the sound of Famous Fun.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. That's per usual. If you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, hello, Christopher Perkins says her articulation is brilliant. Thank you. Samantha, Anita, Stacy Quentin's here, Nessie X, Drip Advisory, 504 Nola is in the house at round 2. You already know. Okay, Antoinette, let's get into it. Vince I am from the UK says hashtag buy all wigs and wiggetry nonsense. Okay. So let's get into it. Hello, Overthought. Shout out to all the loyal royals and everyone tuning into the Queen. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Let's get into it. Now, before I get started, let me just tell you something, Christopher. I was looking for you in the last chat because, Christopher, last night as I was closing out, I saw in the comments, now I know it says we love the Queen, and I love you right, Black beloved. But let me just tell you something, Christopher, and this is all out of love. Now, last night when I was closing out the broadcast, I saw you putting comments in the chat about my songs and all that, and you called the Queen a ninja. Now, I know you were joking, but please don't call me that, okay? Please do not call me that. I don't like to be called a ninja. I don't even like to use that word, okay? So let's not call the Queen a ninja, all right? I know you didn't mean any harm. At the end of the day, that's just how you talk. But don't call the Queen a ninja. Said the ninja is cooking hot like fish grease. Queen is cooking. Yeah, I saw that talking about, uh-oh. Lola said, Chris, not the Queen. He said, this ninja is cooking hot like fish grease. I said, wait, what? Okay, so now let's get down to business because I wasn't expecting to come back until about 4, but this is breaking news. Everybody's going down and getting called out. Like Cat Williams said, it's up for everybody in 2024. So let's talk about it. Because first of all, the former CEO, Mike Jeffries of Abercrombie and Fitch, has been arrested for sex trafficking. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about it because you heard it here first, and I know you heard it here first because I told you all this was going down 8 months ago. I told you all this was going down in January of 2024. One Mother Nature says, will you speak on the sperm banks in the middle 70s at EKU in UK? Wait a minute, girl, you went to EKU? I did too. Oh, well, maybe you didn't go there, but I did, okay? EKU in UK, my sister went to UK. They collected sperm from white males with the blonde hair, blue eyes, then have green eyes. They also collected from redheads with the same scenario to fill the sperm banks. This is all interesting. I didn't know anything about this. Okay, let me write this down so I can check it. I'll definitely look into it. This sounds nefarious. Okay, at EKU and UK, you mean right on campus? Wow. Well, I wasn't there in the 70s, but nonetheless, just to know it went down. Okay, thank you, beloved, for your insight into the topic, for asking your question, and also for your kind and generous donation. Peace, love, and blessings to you. I have to make a note of this so I can get into this later. Now, I also have to call somebody today about a very juicy topic they gave me some information on. So, with that all being said, let's talk about it. Because here's the thing. I told you all about this, like I said, in January of 2024. I told you all this about 8 months ago. Let's go back and revisit in case you missed it, because at this point, he was clearly under investigation for being nefarious. That's all they said. At the end of the day, and with these people like Rhoda Osman crying wolf body, and you know where it was. So he said he will never, wonder if he's related to Justin. Pay attention. Now, the complaint also names Jeffrey's longtime partner, Matthew Smith, as a defendant, claiming that he sexually assaulted men alongside Jeffries. While Smith did not hold any official position at the company, he was still given access to non-public information, such as sales reports and financial documents, according to the complaint, and allowed to hold managerial authority.
even though he didn't work there. Now, Bieber said that Smith does not yet have legal representation. CNN has not been able to determine whether he has retained an attorney. Now, the 21-count lawsuit brings 9 counts against Abercrombie and Fitch, alleging that the company was aware of Jeffries and Smith's abuse and knowingly turned a blind eye to the unfettered amounts of money that Jeffries withdrew from corporate affiliated accounts in order to pay off victims. Yeah, I believe they absolutely knew. Of course they did. Now, to put it plainly, Jeffries needed a corporation that knew he was engaging in illegal activity and did not care. I'm sorry, he knew that he was engaging in an illegal activity with a corporation that knew about it and didn't care. Okay, they say that this was negligence, and that makes Abercrombie and Fitch liable for the physical injury and emotional distress experienced by the plaintiffs as a result of the alleged assault. Okay, so we're going to stop right there with that for a second because I dropped all the receipts, just so y'all know. I dropped all the receipts that day. Now, let's get to this press conference. Okay, let's get to the press conference. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. This is breaking news. You can show your kindness by simply giving a like to the channel, a like and a share. It doesn't cost you a single thing. Okay, so first of all, so him and 2 others have been arrested. I'm going to go to this news report. Then we're going to the press conference. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, Lana said you definitely dropped receipts. Thank you, beloved.
A criminal sex. The former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch and 2 others have been arrested as part of a criminal sex trafficking investigation by the FBI. Mike Jeffries was accused in civil lawsuits filed in 2023 of sexually exploiting young men at parties he held with his partner. Jeffries is credited with turning Abercrombie and Fitch into a fashion powerhouse, but has come under criticism in the past few years on accusations of discrimination and over-sexualizing male models. Jeffries' attorney says he will respond to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer is joining me now for more on this. Brian, great to see you. We're expecting to hear more at a press conference around noon Eastern today, but what developments in the investigation do you think led to this arrest so many years later?
Absolutely. But first and foremost, as a disclosure, I have to say that I did work for Abercrombie's sister company, Hollister Co., as a model, both in terms of providing service for like finding clothes. I was one of the people standing outside with less clothes than you usually see me now, interviewing people and talking to people to come in, and also I modeled for the bag. So I was not a part of this in any way, shape, or form, just kind of giving that disclosure. But in terms of coming next, I think what's next is we're going to potentially see what the charges are, likely sex trafficking, see how many victims there are. And this could be, I think, very similar to what we saw with Sean Combs and the SDNY, that one civil lawsuit kind of opens the floodgates to more civil lawsuits, more charges, more allegations. And I think this is just a Pandora's box waiting to open.
So I know we're expecting more details around noon today, but what comes next here? What could be the next steps for these individuals?
So next would be Jeffries, Smith, and then anyone else connected with this case. They're going to be brought to the Eastern District of New York. I think this is specifically in Central Islip in Long Island. And then they will have those charges read to them. Now, when it comes to sex trafficking, there is a presumption of detention. And so there may be a request that bail is set here. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not it is or is not. If bail is set, then Jeffries and Smith and others will be incarcerated while the case rolls out. Again, similar to what we're seeing in Sean Combs. If bail is not set, that'd be somewhat shocking. I think that'd be shocking to not our viewers, but also to Sean Combs, because he's going to try to piggyback off of that argument. But I think we're going to see a very similar case to what we saw of Sean Combs, R. Kelly, and even in some senses, Harvey Weinstein.
Wow. All nefarious, please pay attention. Okay, so with that all been said, one Mother Nature says, will you drop a link so I can call you and explain? Thank you for your kind and generous donation, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Now, what I did was I put my email in the chat. Please send me an email with your number and I'll call you later. Okay, I don't want to get off track right now and I can't be on here long because I have something to do and I have to come right back at 4 something. Okay, so just send me your number in an email and I'll give you a call so we can talk about it. Okay, so now that all being said, let's go to this press conference. Likes up, everyone, please. A like and share. Thank you in advance. I know some of y'all get tired of us asking for likes, but guess what? We get tired of y'all watching the videos and not liking. Please pay attention, okay? Because I heard somebody had the nerve to tell Mims yesterday that they were getting tired of him asking for likes every 5 minutes. Well, that's his channel. If y'all don't like it, it could have left. I'm sorry. Complaining about what? He shouldn't have to ask for likes. None of us should. It just should be liking. If you're watching, that's all I'm saying. Now let's get into it.
World. Aspiring fashion models knew that a place on one of Abercrombie's iconic ads could be the ticket to success in the modeling industry. But while Jeffries was the CEO of one of the most recognizable clothing retailers in the world, he was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner, Matthew Smith. The charging documents describe in graphic and disturbing detail the violent and exploitive acts these defendants perpetrated, for which they will now face justice in a court here in the Eastern District of New York. So here's what's alleged in the indictment. Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men. Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them to engage in sex acts with him. Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would often then personally approve whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith. The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons, in New York City, or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's for the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex. But beyond simply hiring men for sex, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson used force, fraud, and coercion to traffic those men for their own sexual gratification. For example, as alleged, the defendants employed a referral system and an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required of the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers. Smith and Jeffries employed a secret staff to operate these sex events. The staff ensured that the men signed non-disclosure agreements and handed over their personal items, such as their phones, before the start of the events to maintain the secrecy of these events. The defendants caused the men to believe that not complying with requests for certain acts, sex acts during the events, could harm their careers. The defendants pressured the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during the sex events. And they required the presence of staff during the sexual activity and ensured that the men did not leave the sex events until Jeffries and Smith decided that the sessions were over.
Now, I want y'all to listen to this closely. because he's already saying some of the exact same things that Diddy is accused of: flying people in, forcing them to engage in these acts, lying and telling them this is going to further their career, and all of this, force, fraud, coercion, doing it at parties, having these people brought to parties, the staff being included. These are the hallmark signs of the same exact thing that Diddy did. Are you all paying attention? But let's continue. And he's about to go down just like Diddy too.
Also, as alleged, on more than one occasion, Jeffries and Smith either directed others to inject or personally injected men with an erection-inducing substance for the purpose of causing the men to engage in sex acts the men were incapable of engaging in or unwilling to engage in. Additionally, the indictment alleges on more than one occasion when men did not or could not consent, Jeffries and Smith violated the bodily integrity of these men by subjecting them or continuing to subject them to invasive sexual and violent contact by body parts and other objects.
Not other objects. I want you all to pay attention. Remember, Diddy used a remote on somebody allegedly? Oh, my Lord. This is all the same stuff, okay? All of them are practicing the same thing the ancient Romans practiced, okay? Please pay attention. And also, it has also been said that Diddy was also using Viagra. Pay attention.
As alleged in the indictment, Jeffrey, Smith, and Jacobson didn't just carry this activity on for a couple of occasions. Their sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise lasted at least from the end of 2008 until early 2015. During that period, the defendants hired dozens of men and transported them to New York and around the globe. They spent millions of dollars on a massive infrastructure to support this operation and maintain its secrecy. This included hundreds, thousands of dollars of cash for commercial sex, prolific amounts of money for staff to run the sex events, money for domestic travel, international travel, hotel rooms, services from a security company, and Jacobson's salary, among other things. Now, this investigation remains ongoing. Although there are 15 John Does identified as victims in this indictment, this interstate prostitution venture encompassed dozens and dozens of men. And I encourage anyone with information about this case, including anyone who was a victim of the defendant's alleged crimes, to contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Now, I want to thank the victims who have already come forward for sharing their stories. Prosecutions like this are really impossible without the bravery of victims who are willing to report what happened to them to law enforcement. But this office, the Department of Justice, and its law enforcement partners will continue to work tirelessly to protect victims from powerful individuals who use their wealth and their influence to exploit and harm others for sexual gratification. In addition to my team, I'd like to give special thanks to FBI Special Agent Amanda Young and NYPD Detectives Paul Byrne and Antonio Pagan, who have worked hard on this investigation in the pursuit of justice. I'll now turn it over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Dennehy.
Thank you, Breon. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Dennehy, Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI's New York Field Office. Today's indictment highlights the abhorrent behavior of Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson. What's alleged in the indictment is not only beyond disturbing, dishonorable, and disgraceful, but simply put, it's criminal. In short, these individuals are charged with running a prostitution and international sex trafficking business using a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to induce victims into participating in their illegal operations. The alleged behavior occurred here in New York City and in multiple countries worldwide. The defendants allegedly preyed on the hopes and dreams of their victims by exploiting, abusing, and silencing them to fulfill their own desires with insidious secret intentions. Despite the alleged efforts of Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson to conceal their crimes, efforts that included threatening victims and requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements, among other things, their plan failed. This case is yet another example of individuals using their wealth, power, or reputation to manipulate and control others for their own personal interests. I'd like to speak for a second to the victims in this case and others, both those who have come forward and those we believe are still out there. The FBI and our partners make it our mission to prioritize those who have been victimized by sexual predators. We know victims come from all walks of life. They're our neighbors, our friends, and members of our community. We won't allow these criminal acts to go unchecked. We know our agency, however, cannot combat this threat alone. And we remain committed to investigating and bringing these cases forward to prosecution with our partners. We have dedicated teams ready to listen to you and to advocate for you, and we have victim specialists available to provide the necessary resources you need. If you or someone you know is a victim in this case or any other, the number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. We are committed to ensuring you not only get the assistance you need to cope, but also that you're aware of your rights. I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, and the members of ED&Y's Civil Rights Section and Long Island Division's Criminal Section. I'd also like to thank the NYPD's Detective Bureau and its Specialty Enforcement Division and Special Victims Division, as well as the FBI's Miami and Milwaukee field offices. And also, I'd like to thank the dedicated investigators and personnel from the FBI NYPD Child Exploitation Human Trafficking Task Force.
Let me pause for a minute to say something. See, at the end of the day, Vince I Am says, Queen, you warned about the male victims coming out. The floodgates of the Pandora's box are wide open. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Okay, I told you guys, y'all heard it here first. Please pay attention. But here's the thing, too. Hold on. Rashid is talking about SRA. Look it up. Satanic ritual abuse. Yes, listen, I talked about that back in 2020. I did a very thorough presentation on that. Unfortunately, ScrewTube took it down because back then, you see, here's the thing. I just want you all to pay attention because all of my day ones know that all this stuff that's going on right now, all the stuff that's coming out, the Queen was talking about this 4 years ago when nobody was talking about it. I had all the receipts, all of the dirt. Okay, that's why I keep telling you guys I'm going to do a whole thing about it on Rumble. I just haven't got around to it. And this is why, because all of these new stories keep coming out. But I already talked about all of this stuff. I had books, emails, all kinds of stuff that was evidence. Now, I still have that stuff saved on my Google Drive. But with that all being said, someone said, Queen Sam said it. Everybody's going down from around the world. You got that right, because do you all remember that I talked to you all a couple of years ago about a DJ named Tim Westwood over in the UK who was supposedly assaulting these black women? And I also compared him to DJ Pope from, I believe, South Carolina, South or North. I think it's South Carolina, where he was messing around with all of these black women, at least 600. Okay, and he had HIV and he was passing it to them. And some of them were minors. And with the guy, Tim Westwood, some of them were minors. But the thing about Tim Westwood is that he's friends with Diddy. And he's over there in the UK. So when they went over there for the UK to do that investigation, they probably was looking into some people that he and Diddy both knew, and not to mention Naomi Campbell. Okay, so with that all being said, I just want you all to pay attention because I've been telling y'all some of this stuff for years. Okay, this is all so crazy, and definitely Diddy's case has started a spiral effect. Okay, a domino effect. All of these people are about to go down. Just keep listening.
Once again, we are waiting to hear from you, and we're here to help you. The number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Ortiz.
Hello, my name is Deputy Chief Carlos Ortiz. I am the commanding officer of the NYPD Special Victims Unit. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. The NYPD is committed to fighting for all victims of sexual violence. We stand here today with our federal partners as we continue that mission. Our continued collaboration allows us the necessary resources to ensure successful prosecutions. First of all, I want to thank Attorney Pierce, FBI Assistant Director in charge, Dennehy, and their staff, along with my human trafficking unit led by Captain Chase and Lieutenant Picarello for their diligent work in regards to this case. As evident by today's announcement, we hope our work is able to bring some sense of dignity back to these survivors. The NYPD encourages all survivors of sexual-based violence, including trafficking, to come forward and speak with us, regardless of gender, immigration status, race, or sexual orientation. Our investigators are equipped to handle all reports. Our joint federal teams remain committed to end all human trafficking. The mission and obligation of the NYPD Special Victims Unit is to provide a voice for those that feel unheard. We are here for you. Together with our federal partners, we will continue to fight for the victims of the city and all over the country. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
The indictment says that this alleged conduct ended in 2015. Why did it take nearly a decade for you to come to this moment? And did it just suddenly stop in 2015? And then, if you would also say a word about the intersection of the civil lawsuits with this criminal prosecution.
Yeah, so these prosecutions really depend, as I said earlier, on the bravery of the victims to come forward and tell their stories. That happened in this case. Once that happened, our team and our law enforcement partners investigated this case thoroughly and quickly, and we're now arriving at this day when we're charging the conduct. So I say to all victims, we're here, we will listen, we will investigate and bring charges where appropriate. The intersection of the civil lawsuits, there really is, our investigation is based on our investigation, the facts, the evidence we find, and the law. And so the civil lawsuits don't dictate what we do or vice versa.
And do you believe the conduct ended in 2015, or that's just what's chargeable?
I will say, I think the best way to answer that is say this investigation remains ongoing. We encourage any victims or any witnesses to come forward with additional information. And if there's a need to bring further charges, we, of course, will not hesitate to do that.
I had a question about the events themselves. When they took place, were they like company sanctioned events, or did they at any point happen on company grounds? And about the John Does, were they employed at all by the company? Were they working in stores? Did any of them actually make it to be part of these like advertisements? Or were they just simply brought in for these purposes and then recycled out?
I can't go beyond the allegations in the indictment. We don't have evidence that this happened on company grounds, but I will not go further into who is aware where things happen beyond what is already in the indictment, including with respect to what happened after the events.
Hi there, I think we're doing this. Can you tell us how many victims there were in total indictment system? There were 15 John Does, but how many did you interview?
I can't get into our interview process. We interviewed many witnesses. As I said, their team and our law enforcement partners did a very thorough investigation into this activity. We have named 15 John Does, but as I indicated before, there may be other victims out there. We're hoping to hear from folks after this, and we will take action as appropriate.
How did your office first learn about these events and what was happening?
I think we became aware through media reports, which is not uncommon when you have media that reports on stories that relate to crimes, alleged crimes. We follow up and do our diligence. So,
thank you for doing this thorough remarks. Two questions. I think I want to clarify a little bit on Mark Morales' point. Does the indictment allege that the resources of Abercrombie Fitch were involved in the furtherance of this sex trafficking, where the company itself would have any liability? And then secondly, generally, just from a sex victims and sexual violence and the investigatory standpoint, we have this situation, these scenarios that are now victims are coming more forward publicly about power, control, manipulation of those who have aspirations. You have the Sean Combs case, you have this case. Are we finding that there are going to be more widespread investigations with regard to officials in power exploiting and manipulating people? Do we see like a trend happening where more victims are coming forward? So it's a twofold thing.
Yeah, so in the first question, we don't allege in the indictment that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were used in furtherance of this criminal activity. But what we do allege and acknowledge is that the fact that Michael Jeffries was CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was utilized, and the potential of an opportunity at Abercrombie to be in an ad or things like that were some of the carrots that I think people perceived as what they would achieve by participating in this activity. On your second question, I don't know if I could say it's a trend one way or the other. I'm hopeful that to the extent there are victims out there who have been subjected to trafficking activity, abuse, exploitation, that they would be confident enough in their federal and state law enforcement partners to come forward. As I said before, we listen, we investigate, we take action, and we will not hesitate to bring charges. In this office in particular, and my civil rights team, I think we have a track record of bringing cases with respect to people in power who have taken advantage of and abused others. We prosecuted R. Kelly. We brought the NXIVM case. We don't hesitate to hold the powerful and the wealthy to account if they have violated federal criminal laws.
And just to clarify, when I say a trend from the power, you may have just clarified that, but with regard to, how widespread and pervasive it seems to be becoming externally facing with regard to those in power control, manipulating and exploiting people. Are you finding that your investigations are leveling off? Are they consistent, or are we finding that you are investigating more cases of this in this space?
As I said before, I think we stand ready to investigate any criminal conduct, whether it relates to rich and powerful or not so rich and powerful. If sex trafficking laws, interstate prosecution laws, et cetera, are violated, we stand ready to investigate and bring charges as appropriate.
What more can you say about the victims allegedly being recruited as heterosexual men to engage in non-heterosexual acts? And also, can you elaborate more on why this happened in the Eastern District?
Well, I think I'll take the second part first. I mean, venue is driven by the activity, as I mentioned earlier, and as alleged in the indictment. Much of this activity happened in New York, in the Hamptons in particular, which is a part of the Eastern District of New York. We have JFK International Airport, and travel comes to and through JFK etc. So that's sort of the reason in part that we are bringing this case, among other reasons. There are victims here, etc.
Let me pause right there for a second. He said in the Hamptons. I want you all to pay attention because Diddy was hosting some of those white parties in the Hamptons. Okay, so a lot of similar things, a lot of parallels. Pay attention.
There's really nothing more beyond the indictment that I can discuss regarding why the choice was for heterosexual men, etc. I think I'm limited to what's there.
Mr. Priest,
Yeah.
2 points of clarification. One, when you said media reports, did you mean media reports in 2013? I'm sorry, 2023 last year.
I think, is that? Yes. Yes.
And then these 15 people who bravely came forward, had any of them had previously complained to law enforcement, for example, local law enforcement?
I can't comment on that. Any other questions? Jonathan?
Sir, on another topic, there's great public interest in this city regarding corruption allegations.
Only going to take questions on this topic. We're not answering any questions on other topics. We said that when the press conference started. Next question.
Can you talk about what's going to happen next as far as when the New York and
Yes, so they will have their initial appearances in courts, Florida and I think Minnesota, and then they will be brought to New York or travel to New York to be arraigned. We're expecting that will happen either at the end of this week or early next week. In terms of the detention, we put in a detention memo outlining our position for Matthew Smith. We are seeking detention. In part, because he is a dual citizen of the United States and the UK, the risk of flight are particularly acute with him. And for the other two, we're seeking substantial bail packages. If those aren't met, of course, we expect that they would be detained as well. Obviously, those decisions are up to the judges who do the arraignment.
Sorry if I can try on topic. In regards to evidence, you said phones were taken from many of the victims private. Do you have any video on top of or other evidence besides the story of the witnesses that would help you substantiate?
We have substantial evidence. We have travel records, we have financial records, we have testimony of victims and other witnesses. So we think we have a lot of evidence that corroborates the charges in this case.
Last question. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, all nefarious, please pay attention. Maurice says Queen is dropping receipts. Puffy Zesty is dropping names. And a lot of people is going to be dropping soap in the prisons, allegedly. Maurice, you are something else. Thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Vince I Am says, I remember that, Queen. Yes, okay, y'all should remember that. Vince said he remembers when I told you all about that DJ Tim Westwood over in the UK 2 years ago, and I also compared him to DJ Pope. Both of them were specifically targeting Black women, okay? And DJ Pope had that package, okay? And some of his victims were minor. I believe one was as young as 14 years old. And this guy, Tim Westwood, the same about him. All right? And so just pay attention. Like I said, he is friends with the Diddy because I saw some pictures of him with Diddy like a couple of years ago. Okay, so now with that all being said, I'm going to let you all listen to some of this information, but first let's have a word from my sponsors. Okay, I'm not going to be on here long because I have to come back. For those of you who missed the morning broadcast, please go back and watch it because I dropped some more interesting receipts on Diddy if you missed it.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, don't forget you can purchase your 12 Tribes oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Go to Lisa Crafts, and also you can find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's go back to this previous video so you all can see how this stuff all started rolling. Okay, how this stuff started coming out. Benefited in that a byproduct of the sex trafficking venture, i.e. the company, was able to employ male models to further promote their brand image, while simultaneously keeping Jeffries happy and productive, allowing him to rebrand the company's image and transform it into a billion-dollar industry. This is what the lawsuit says. So the company was benefiting, so maybe that's why they turned a blind eye. Well, of course it is. Now, the lawsuit comes less than a month after the BBC published allegations of 8 men who said Jeffries and his partner Smith exploited them for sex. The men alleged they were recruited through a middleman who used a network of recruiters and paid them $500 to $1,000 for every referral, according to the report, which was found out in the culmination of a 2-year investigation. Now, let me stop right there and tell you guys something. First of all, I want you to pay attention because what they were doing, you see, Jeffries and his boyfriend, they go together, right? So they're LGBTQ. But these people who they were targeting were not. And so they, in fact, were doing the same thing that Diddy was doing. They want to get heterosexual people so they can break them down. And also, there's another very nefarious reason they were doing it that the insider told me about. And when I tell you it is nefarious, we're going to get into that at a later date. But just keep that in mind. That's something they were doing. And also they were doing what Epstein was doing. Because in the video, this video where I was dropping all this information, what was the name of it? The name of the video was Abercrombie and Fitch accused of trafficking an ex-CEO tied to Epstein. Okay. And here's the thing, because they were doing what Epstein was doing also, not just what Diddy was doing, but they were in fact paying people $500 to recruit other people. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were doing the same thing, but they were paying like a little bit less, like $200 and $300, okay, to have people recruiting others once they get caught up in the net. Now, days after the report, Abercrombie Fitch said it had launched its own investigation into the allegations. Well, they didn't have to look far because, like they said, they already knew. I absolutely believe they did. That's my opinion. Now, the company's current executive leadership team and board of directors were not aware of the allegations of sexual misconduct by Mr. Jeffries, according to the retailer. Okay, now for close to a decade, a new executive leadership team and refreshed board of directors have successfully transformed our brands and culture into the values-driven organization we are today. We have zero tolerance for abuse, harassment, and/or discrimination of any kind. Please miss me with it. That's what they can do. I'm just not buying what they're selling. I'm not buying what they're selling. I think they knew. How did this go on for a decade, over a decade, and they didn't know anything? How did this go on for all this time and nobody knew anything? They weren't missing the money? Because here's the thing, even if you didn't know exactly what he was up to, you had to know he was up to something when the money came up missing, because he was using that money to pay people off. That's what he was doing. Hey, that crazy beach Aries. Okay, Reggie said plausible deniability. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, it goes on to say, let me pull this up real quick. Purple Royalty, beloved, thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Says, I see you, Queen. Keep giving us the real peace. Thank you, beloved. Now they say, Abercrombie and Fitch former boss Mike Jeffries will never address BBC Panorama claims, as lawyer insists he has always chosen not to comment on his personal life and won't start now. Well, of course you won't comment on your personal life when it's full of illegal activities. Okay? That's no shock there. So they said that he hosted parties and stuff around the world. That's another thing. They were having sex parties, okay, doing the same stuff Diddy was doing. Please pay attention. And as I told you yesterday, they were sometimes having these young men engage in these acts of which they didn't want to, but having them engage in it, and then they'd sit there and watch. One or the other would sit there and watch. Okay, or they'd make two of the new recruits do things together, and they'd sit there and watch. It's also Just like Diddy, and also like the movie I told you guys about, that movie 120 Days to Solo. And that movie is banned in some countries, okay? That's exactly what they were doing in that movie also, is wealthy, rich people bringing young people out there to this estate and making them do nefarious things while they watched. Disgusting freaks. But so anyway, the investigative documentary said that it had spoken to 8 men, some of whom alleged they were exploited at events in places including U.S., London, Paris, Venice, Marrakesh, and the Caribbean. Now let's go to the audio. Let's go to the audio of the 2 victims. It's just a brief clip, it's like a minute long. They say half of the men claimed they were misled about the nature of the events or not told sex was expected, while others said they knew it would involve sex, but not exactly what was expected of them. Modeling opportunities with Abercrombie Fitch were said to have been raised before they met Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Smith. David Bradbury, then he was 23 years old, and that's one of the people you'll hear from shortly. David Bradbury, he told the media that he was introduced to Mr. Jacobson by an agent who described him as the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper. Diddy has also been described as the gatekeeper, so please pay attention. And also pay attention to the fact that the DA said, hold on. The guy at the press conference just said that they got a lot of the information from news reports. I'm pretty sure they saw this report because he literally, and I want you all to pay attention, go back and watch it again if you missed it or rewind. He literally said everything that I'm saying in this video. Okay, please pay attention. I told y'all the news be watching the Queen, honey. Pay attention. But let's continue. Okay, the gatekeeper to the owners. That's what he was. Yeah, he was in fact the gatekeeper because allegedly he was the recruiter. And that is the gatekeeper. Okay, the ones who keep an eye out on things, the ones who supply them, bring them the bodies. That's what they do. Now, he told reporter Rihanna Croxford, Mr. Jacobson suggested Bruce Weber, who at the time was an Abercrombie & Fitch official photographer. But Mr. Bradbury claims Jim made it clear to me that unless I let him do certain things, that I would not be meeting Mr. Fitch and Mr. Jeffries. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm sorry, I'm sitting up here talking and my mic is off. Okay, so what I wanted to say, Rashid, I literally was just talking about Project Paperclip today and Project Mockingbird. I was telling someone how the German scientists came over here after World War II and how the U.S. enlisted them to help them with nefariousness, and they were operating with those 2 projects. Okay, I'll probably do something on that maybe one of these days. But anyway, let's continue. Let's go to the audio. Let's go to the audio. Like, sub, everyone, please like and share. Actually, before I go to that, let's talk about this whole Epstein, okay, this whole Epstein thing, because I found this all very interesting. And in fact, they call Michael Jeffries Epstein 2.0. That's what they call him. Said he's been exploiting these men for years, allegedly. Allegedly. Okay? Please pay attention. I have to sign in for this article. So give me just a moment. Let me fast forward. People who fit the image of traditional Americans. Now, it also was open about its discrimination against people who didn't fit the image. Okay, Jeffries' controversial statements about the selection process for hiring the certain candidates constantly stirred up backlash. From fat shaming and allegedly relegating minorities to the back stock rooms to selling graphic tees with offensive slogans, A&F was not marketing itself as an inclusive beacon of representation. Then again, neither were any other stores at the time, but A&F certainly wasn't going to sugarcoat theirs. And they had some racist t-shirts too. T-shirts with racist things written on them that they sold. A&F was very particular about the image they wanted to cultivate. One of Jeffries' most famous quotes comes from a 2006 interview with Salon, in which he makes it clear that not everyone is welcome in the A&F brand. He says, in every school there are the cool kids, the popular kids, and then there are the not so cool kids. Candidly, we go after the cool kids. I told you all this already. Okay, so let's go to the audio. Let's go to the audio. And for those of you who are not familiar with Abercrombie & Fitch, because you may never have shopped there, I hope you haven't, because I never did. But if you don't even know, however, aren't most Americans fat, Sister Dad? Dad, no. No, Dad. I don't think most Americans are fat. Maybe a lot of them, but definitely not most. Okay? But anyway, for those of you who aren't familiar with the brand, let me just show you one of their advertisement photos. That's them right there, as you can see. All right. You heard they were racist. Melanated equals black vitriol. They are racist. They were racist. Absolutely. I mean, they have myriad of complaints about discrimination. Okay, so let me put this up on the screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. These are the two young men who came forward. One of them is named David Bradbury. Okay. And the other one, I think his name is Brian Paul. No, Barrett Paul. Barrett Paul and David Bradbury. Now, the first one you'll hear speak, I do believe, is Barrett Paul.
I was presented with meeting the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch for a sex party, a sexual experience. There was never any real clarity about what was expected of me to happen. It was just like, you can go there and do what you feel comfortable with and let it be known in a roundabout way that, like, the farther you go, the better. I know that my friend who was making money because he told me. It was, you get this and I get this. It's a win-win for both of us.
But while starting out in the entertainment industry, I did fall victim to a handful of situations that were inappropriate. It was kind of reinforced kind of over and over again that this is normal. And so the idea of this isn't the way things are done wasn't really occurring. Jim made it clear to me that unless I let him perform oral sex on me, that I would not be meeting with Abercrombie Fitch or Mike Jeffries.
Y'all right? You all heard that. It's absolutely deplorable as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely deplorable. Now, here's the thing. They also had what they call a no pants rule. A former pilot for Abercrombie & Fitch, who was fired and replaced by a younger face, sued the company for discrimination on the basis of age. Now, the company was no stranger to discrimination lawsuits, but the details in this one suggest a sinister atmosphere. The man accused the company of having specific creepy rules to be allowed to fly on the company's plane, including requiring the models on board to adhere to a no pants rule. The rule allegedly required models to wear only boxer briefs, polo shorts, gloves, and flip-flops. Another strange detail was that the pilot was ordered to play Phil Collins on all flights headed back home. What's with the Phil Collins? I can feel it coming in the air tonight. I'm sure that's the song. I'm sure that's it. I'm almost willing to bet money. All so crazy. Now, in October of 2022, a 2-year BBC Panorama investigation revealed allegations that Jeffries, his partner, and a third party, who is alleged to have been a middleman, lured male models into sex parties where they were exploited and taken advantage of in exchange for career opportunities. 8 men accused the ex-CEO and his partner of hosting sex parties in cities in the U.S. and around the world, where male models were recruited for jobs in exchange for sexual favors. And this went on from 2009 to 2014, as long as until Jeffries left the company. Now, many of them expressed feeling exploited or abused at these parties. Models claimed they were recruited by the middleman, James Jacobson, who, by the way, claims that he did nothing wrong. That's what he says. He says he did nothing wrong. I'm sure Ghislaine Maxwell probably thought the same. Now, half of the men accused Jacobson of luring them to these sex parties under false pretenses, being misled about the nature of the parties. Some of them claimed they were lured there under the guise of modeling opportunities and that sex was never even mentioned. Other men claimed while they knew the parties were sexual, they were misled about what was expected of them. Okay, so that all been said. This is all crazy. Now, let's talk about how this man, Michael Jeffries, let me fix my chat real quick so I can see the comments. Reggie said pants on the ground, pants on the ground. So with this, thank you, Maurice, for your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. It says, may they put his ass in an all-black prison. This does not, let's see, it says what we know and what we don't know about retail mogul Les Wexner's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. For at least a decade, the man behind Victoria's Secret and the Limited was the disgraced financier and accused sex traffickers' only known clients. And so they go on to say, among the many appalling allegations and reports of shady business dealings coming out about Jeffrey Epstein, the money manager arrested on July the 6th on federal sex trafficking charges, one name keeps cropping up, and that's Leslie H. Wexner. They call him Les for short. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Because a lot of these big time CEOs, let me tell you guys something. People are wondering why they all started stepping down and everything when Diddy got arrested. Well, indicted and all of that. Well, because some of them are doing the same thing as Diddy. Unfortunately for Mr. Michael Jeffries, okay, it was too late for him because they'd already been investigating him. They already had been investigating him. So it's too late for him to try to step down. But a lot of these people started stepping down, in my opinion, because they were likely doing the same thing. Now, this is all alleged. But I absolutely believe that's exactly what it is. They knew that that was likely going to start a domino effect. And what's interesting is, even after Jeffrey Epstein, there was necessarily no domino effects. But there is one with Diddy. Okay, there's one with Diddy. Please pay attention. Red Wine Entertainment said it's so obvious. Exactly. Okay, it is so obvious. Exactly. And now someone said something about they're not even sure if Jeffrey Epstein's gone. Well, I'm not sure if he's gone either. Okay, because word on the streets is that, or should I say word down the rabbit hole, is that Jeffrey Epstein was working for the Mossad. Okay. And so with that all being said, he could be hidden and tucked away somewhere. I don't know, because when you look up where he's buried at, he's supposedly buried in a mausoleum near his parents, right next to his parents, that's unmarked. The same thing with Jimmy Savile over there in the UK, the one that was knighted by the Queen, and he did all those nefarious things to over 400 plus people, mostly little people. And they said when they buried him, they put him in a secluded place, and they didn't put a name on his grave or his tombstone because, of course, people would come and vandalize it because of the nefarious things of which he was accused. Okay, so, and Epstein was very powerful at the end of the day, and he was also very well protected. And he was much bigger than Diddy. Okay, now we compared Diddy to him, but he was a whole lot bigger than Diddy and had a whole lot more protection. All right. So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. If you want to go back and watch the full length of this video, the title, I'll put the title or put the link in the I'll put the link in the chat. If you want to go back and watch it in its entirety, it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, so anyway, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this day. Don't forget to come back at about 4:30 because I told y'all I have some more stuff on Diddy that the insider told me, and we're going to get into that. That's going to be brief. I'm not going to be here all day. Okay, but
We're going to get into it, and you won't have heard this anywhere else, okay? I promise you. Now, Christopher Perkins says, great work, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, so everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got